Hello, tea friends. Today I want to present to you what we believe is the very first harvest of green tea in all over China and possibly even in the world. The very first harvest of 2024. This tea has been grown by our partners, Mr. Yang and Mr. Zhang, in Yunnan, which is southern province of China, and this particular tea is growing in the southmost region of Yunnan province. So due to warm weather, they've been able to harvest this tea as early as January. And last year they harvested this tea, I believe, on January 5th. This year, a little bit later, on January 15th. But to the best of our knowledge, this is the very first harvest in all over China of green tea. And Mr. Yang and Mr. Zhang, they are very innovative, very inventive tea growers and tea producers. And this tea is partially wild green tea. So let's get to it and let's try what it tastes like, because I'm sure it's gonna be a treat. And we ordered this tea without even trying it in order to get it to the US as soon as possible and get it to our customers as soon as possible. So this tea arrived yesterday, and this is gonna be the first tea I'm trying it together with you. So I'm very excited to see what it brings. So without further ado, let's start with warming up teaware, and let's warm up gaiwan. To brew this tea, I'm using water of 175 degrees Fahrenheit, and the ratio of tea that I'm gonna be using is 1 to 25. So it's 120 milliliter gaiwan, and I'm gonna be using 5 grams of tea to brew in it. And while gaiwan is warming up, let's get familiar with the dry leaves. I want you to see what the dry leaves look like. As you can see, they are rather large. They're not small leaves, and they're twisted. So right away from dry leaves, I pick up smoky notes. Where the smoky notes comes from is this tea, as any green tea, goes through the stage called shaching. And shaching, it can be called in English as kill green. This is where the enzymes in green tea are stopped to preserve the green tea's freshness. So how do they do it? They warm up the tea, they pan fry it, and in order to pan fry this tea, Mr. Yang and Mr. Zhang, they were using wood. So the wood fire gives this smoke. So the smokiness that comes from the dry leaves of this tea can be picked up right away. It's not an overpowering smokiness. Uh, I would say it's a pretty subtle one, but very noticeable nonetheless. So we're warming up our Gongdao Bay and the cup. And the cup that we're gonna be using to degustate this tea is a porcelain cup that is silver lined. And the reason why we're using this cup is the silver, it's a neutral element, and it will allow us to get the true taste of tea without altering it. And porcelain on outside is preventing this tea from overheating, because silver by itself is a very heat conductive material. So if the cup would be built entirely out of silver, it would just burn your hands, and of course we don't want to burn our fingers. And for the same reason, we're using the porcelain gaiwan, because porcelain also is a neutral material, so we're not affecting the taste of tea, of the actual tea, in any way. We're not altering it, so we're gonna get the true taste of tea, so to say. So let's warm up the water and smell the warm up tea. So now tea has been warmed up in the gaiwan. So once again, at the very first moment when you open up the lid, you feel like a little bit of smokiness, but then I pick up like fresh milky notes. Uh, when the milk is still warm, and right after it comes out from a cow, that this warm milk from the childhood, the smell from the childhood, from the village, when you're visiting your grandma. And it's I feel the freshness of green tea, like the spring freshness of green tea. uh, Very nice aroma. So the way I pour water, I make sure that the water jet is not hitting the leaves directly, because these are green tea leaves, and we want to be as gentle with them as possible, because green tea is a gentle tea. So you pour water on the lid and let it just drip into the gaiwan. Let's open up the lid so the leaves can breathe, so we don't cook them inside of the gaiwan. And fill up our cup and leave a little for our teapot. Let's see what gaiwan smells now, right after the first brew. I feel the smell, aroma of a spinach, of like cooked spinach and artichokes. Very nice. I'm loving it already. Very pleasant aroma. And let the tea cool off a little bit. Right away, I can say that the tea, even though it's like a very first brew, um, very first tipping, the tea, the first thing that you notice is the sweetness, and the freshness of the leaves, but without any bitterness, without any harsh notes. Very, I wouldn't say silky, but creamy, very creamy mouthfeel. And no smokiness in the taste, even though there was like initially some smokiness in the aroma. In the taste itself, no traces of smokiness so far. Very, very smooth. Nice. I remember the last harvest, the harvest of 2023. Uh, it was a little bit less complex as this one. This one has a little bit more complexity. I think due to to the wood-fired Shaching. Oh my god, very nice aroma. I feel a little bit of like seaweed notes. Mm. Let's see what the second brew will bring us. Once again, we're not pouring tea, we're not pouring water on the leaves directly. And I like, with green tea, I like to keep the steepings short, especially the first few. So just giving it just a few seconds. Now let's smell the lead. Surprisingly, I pick up like baked potato notes. And from the leaves itself, once again, like cooked spinach comes out first. And you may want to pour from a little bit higher up. So when you pour tea from Guangdao Bay into cups, it cools off a little and it aerates a little. So it will benefit green tea especially. So the second brew has a little bit more of a bite, but once again, not a hint of bitterness or astringency, none of that. Still very sweet, and now I pick up the notes of like baked spinach in the taste itself as well. And I can feel like a hint of smokiness, but just like a faint hint of smokiness in the taste. In the smell from the cup, I actually don't smell it. Interesting. Like, yes, I would say that cooked spinach notes are the most prominent ones and very pleasantly sweet. And I also feel nuttiness, as in like good green tea. You feel this like nutty notes. Very nice. So let's give it a third try. See what the third steeping will bring us. I'm in love with the aroma of this tea. And I have to say, I want to give props to Mr. Yang and Mr. Zhang. With a very rare exception, I like pretty much every tea they making. They're really good farmers, good tea producers. They're not lazy. They always looking for new ideas. They always experiment. They always experiment with different cultivars. I'm really happy working with them. So let's brew it again. Now we can give it a little bit more of a direct water jet to the leaves. Once again, not right away, but at first you pour a little bit on the side, and then by the end of the pour you give it a little bit of a direct hit. And once again, I like to keep the steepings short. On some other teas, like pu'er, probably much longer, but for green tea I like to keep them short. And when it starts losing taste, this is where I extend it a little, like 10 seconds, maybe 15 seconds. But for the first few steepings I give it like 5-10 seconds at most. Let's feed our teapot. Let's not get greedy. Yes, you feel like this, like still intensifies, like even the third brew, it keeps intensifying sweetness, nuttiness. Right now, more nutty than like spinachy. And the smokiness that you feel in the aroma, you don't feel it as smoky in the taste, but it gives it a little like a different dimension that I'm not sure how to describe it. But it definitely does something to the taste of tea. I wouldn't call it a smoky taste, but maybe like a faint, yes, like maybe like a faint hint of something smoky, like maybe like smoked bacon somewhere on the background. Very interesting. So that was the third steeping, and so far the taste just keeps intensifying. Usually with green teas, very often it's the first one is it's waking up, the second one is the most intense one, and on the third one you already start feeling the decline a little bit, but not with this one. With this one it's getting stronger. So let's give it just one more just to see how it's holding um, multiple steepings. Let's give it a more direct pour for this time. Yep. And a tiny bit longer steeping time. Let's see how it's gonna take it, like whether it's gonna overbrew or not. How gentle is this tea? Let's not push our luck too far. Feed our teapot. Yeah, so on the third brew, I can tell that the taste is like started subduing just a little bit. Once again, it's holding pretty well. Just a little bit lighter, a little less sweet this time. Mm, Not sharp, still no bitterness, none of that. So it took like the longest tipping very well. Just a little bit lesser sweetness, a little bit more once again like the fresh notes of green tea without bitterness, just like the brightness, more of the brightness, a little bit less of like roundness. The mouthfeel is still pretty creamy. Now smokiness comes out a little bit like stronger. Overall, I can say I'm very happy with how this tea turned out. It's definitely gonna be my daily drinker for the next few days. Mm. My cup is empty. I think we're gonna stop this video at that. Loving this tea. I'm loving it, and I'm very happy to present this tea to you. So if you want it, we have only about a little bit over 1 kilo of this tea left, and just as with Shincha, we're not gonna replenish it. So it's like this tea should be consumed while it's fresh. So once this batch is over, you'll have to wait till next year, till 2025. And 2025, God's willing, if everything is gonna go smooth and good in Yunnan, we're gonna order this tea again. And we've been doing it for 3 years now, and every time we get excellent results with this tea, and this year did not disappoint either. Very happy with how it turned out. Nice pleasant finish, I can tell. It's a sweet medium long finish. I can't say it's like super long, but it's definitely very pleasant, refreshing, sweet finish. Thank you so much for being with us, for watching this video. Cheers.